I'm Jim Harden. I'm the chair of the Columbia Alumni Association. And on behalf of my fellow board members, many of whom are in the room, I too would like to thank President Bollinger and the panel for a motivational and informative start to our weekend of alumni leaders at Columbia, which continues tomorrow all day with programs in alumni leadership connecting to the university and across the alumni constituencies, and being capped tomorrow evening with the gala dinner to honor this year's 10 recipients of the Columbia Alumni Medal for Conspicuous Service to the university. It's my pleasure now to introduce another Columbia alum, an alumnus of the business school. Senator Frank Lautenberg is now in his 5th term of a career in the Senate devoted to making life better for the residents of New Jersey and indeed for the nation. Unfortunately, very busy in Washington, as you know these days, his duties prevented him from being able to join us for the panel, but he has made an extraordinary effort to be here tonight and to join us with some closing remarks. Please welcome Frank Lautenberg.
Thank you. I don't know whether, thank you, Jim Harden, and congratulations for your hard work on behalf of Columbia, the alumni. And I don't know whether closing remarks means that after I get finished talking, or as I talk, the house will empty. Is that kind of make silly jokes when you make speeches, you know? And I remember one time, can you hear me in the back? I asked that question, and someone in the back said, no, no. And someone in the front said, I'll change places with you. But it's a treat for me to be here, and a treat for me always to thank Columbia in whatever ways I can for the influence that it had on my life. And the opportunity to chat with you for a few minutes is one that I wanted to do because of my view of what life ought to be like for those of us who have had the good fortune to be able to have develop skills or have good fortune in their lifetime, so to give something back. And the theme I saw I like very much. It's from the me generation to the we generation. And if you look at what the definition of responsibilities are today, and we see that despite the fact that Columbia has this choice location in this great city, and we thank President Bollinger for his good work having come here and helping to lead Columbia on a new and important change in its physical existence, but to be able to accommodate more students and bring more good things to the society in which we live. But as we look at the responsibilities of those of us who've had the fortune to succeed, and look now at the scope of the obligation, things now are different, as they are, I guess, always as years pass by, are different in so many ways, unexpected, and at a pace that is hard to believe. And this will not be a long dissertation, I promise you, but when you look at globalization and what it stands for, and technology and what it the area that we can cover so quickly. It says that we now understand, as we've never understood before, the misfortune of people across the globe, of people who desperately need help and call on us as a country, and call on us as members of the human race with a conscience and wanting to give something back for our good fortune. And if I may take just a few moments to draw on my life, I hope it doesn't sound too pretentious, but I've been so lucky. I joined the Army when I was 18 years old. Sometimes people say, which war? But was Spanish-American or something? I joined the Army when I was 18, leaving behind a very sick father, very young, but very sick, 42 years old, and a very young mother, 37 years old. Having not brought any skills with them when they were brought to America by their parents, searching for a better life, trite but true, and little skills. And what does one do for a living? My father we lived in the city of Paterson, New Jersey, a mill town. The beginning of the Industrial Revolution took place there, Alexander Hamilton, and the consequence of that were factories all over the place. And my father worked in a silk mill, as did his father and as did his brother. And apparently there were materials there that were dangerous to health, and one of them was responsible for inducing cancer in my father, his brother, and their father, and they died very young. My father died after I enlisted in the Army at the age of 43, and suffered a long period of a very painful existence, as in those days, this does go back a long time, they didn't have the things that would give you relief as we see it now. And my mother was left, again, a 37-year-old widow without any particular skills. I did my duty. I served in Europe during the war. And my mother got a white-collar job, which was unusual because she had no experience in a white-collar situation. Worked for the Prudential Insurance Company. Able to keep she and my sister, her and my sister, going while I was away. And I had no perspective on a college education, but it was there, free and available to me. It was called the GI Bill. I'm sure you've all heard of it. And for me, living not too far across the river, physically, but miles and miles away, emotionally and psychologically, I went to Columbia. I couldn't believe it when I was accepted. I think that was part of the reward I got with they maybe bypassed an SAT, thank God. They weren't around at that time. But in short order, and by the way, I was in the last undergraduate class at Columbia at the business school. Now, maybe they saw the evil of their ways and decided no more undergraduate students here. We got to get people who are ready to learn at a different stage in life. Good fortune followed me, and I, with 2 associates, started a company that now is called Automatic Data Processing. The company, if I could get some water, please, Lisa. Automatic Data Processing. We started, just the 3 of us. The 2 fellows I associated with were brothers, and their father also worked in the silk mills. We worked hard and had the energy, and ADP today has 46,000 employees, we're in 26 countries. they, it's not we. I wish it was we when I get my paycheck, but they succeeded very well without me. And the company has the longest growth record of any country in American history at over 10% each and every year on the bottom line for 42 years in a row. 42 years. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Doesn't disturb anything. You always have to watch out when the podium tilts your way. I've had the wrong end of it happen to me. So 42 years in a row. We're not primarily a computer service. The computer technology came along well after we started a payroll processing business, and it enabled us to grow rapidly from that point forward. And we did invent a business. The business was called outsourcing. Computer technology was just a facilitating process. And so life was good, and I'm very proud of the success that we achieved there. And I then decided after many years, 30 years to be precise, that I wanted to do something different. That America was so good to me, so good to my family, despite the hardship, so good. And what I didn't learn in my textbooks at Columbia, I learned from my exposure to other opportunities in life than things seen from the back of a little neighborhood store that my folks would buy every now and then because the mills would close. And as a consequence, I felt truly obliged to do something that was other than moving a business and doing better, but at the same time, it didn't fulfill my need to pay back. I came to the Senate in 1982. By the way, I'm proud to say I was then 58 years old, so you can do your own arithmetic. Comes up to 65, I think, doesn't it? But anyway, I thought that if I had a chance to serve one term in the United States Senate, it would have been just reward for anything that I'd done in my life. But I liked it. And after the first term I was elected because ADP was the candidate. I didn't talk about me. I talked about ADP. Everybody said anybody can create jobs like that. We had 16,000 employees at the time. Comes along at just the right time. The theme then, 1982, was jobs, jobs, jobs. Same theme that we have today. And so I ran a second time, and that turned out to be pretty good. I ran a third time. People in New Jersey were still tolerant, and they let me do it again. And then I decided that that was enough. I wanted to do something else. And I couldn't think about the else. All I could think about in the year 2001, which was the year of my then retirement, January 2001, all I could think about as that year went along was 9/11. So what was happening to our country on the edge of a recession, preparing to go to war. And I thought, damn, if I could only be back there. And fate, once again, came in to help out. The fellow who was running for the office, was 2 years later, was failing in his opportunity, it seemed, to win the election. He was way behind in the polls. The governor called me and asked if I would consider, 5 weeks ago, October 1st, 1992. Got the wrong year, 2002. It showed I should have gone to graduate school. But, sorry. Governor called and asked if I would consider running again. And he said, Frank, I know that this is a heck of a lot to ask, but we are going to lose this seat. The fellow running was 20 points behind in the polls, and we were 5 weeks to go to the election. He said, would you consider it? I said, running again? I'd have to think about it. Okay. So I ran again, and I am now in my 5th term. I am the longest, forgive the immodesty, but I'm the longest serving senator ever in the history of New Jersey, and having cast the largest number of votes ever. I wrote laws like I'm responsible for you not being able to get a cigarette in airplanes. Forgive me? They said it couldn't be done, but they didn't know. A fellow from Patterson, you can take the fellow out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the fellow, and I fought hard, and we were able to succeed. And I've written other laws that affect people's lives. For instance, I was able, about 10 years ago, to write law to stop spousal abusers from getting gun permits. Can you believe that those people on the terror list today in America are able to get gun permits? It's something we're working on, and I hope that we'll get that abolished. But passing the law to stop abusers from household thugs from getting gun permits, they said it wouldn't matter. We stopped 175,000 of those spousal abusers from getting guns. What a difference it makes. We know that 1 out of 6 women in a household with a gun and a mate that goes into rage would be killed. So I've mentioned those things. We had lots of other things. I worked a lot on environment. I'm trying to stop the 11th plague from overtaking mankind. That is global warming. I do other things that I believe can be of help to people to live better, enjoy life more. And now, as you know, maybe you haven't noticed, but we are doing a health bill. Anybody notice that? Anyway, I think we're doing a health bill. Let me put it that way. And so I look at life and I say to those of you who would consider being in service, and by the way, I consider people in work performing a public service, because invariably incomes are far less than most of the people could get in the private sector. But the loyalties and the energy, and I've heard complaints about bureaucrats and they don't do this and they don't. Listen, I was in the private sector. I saw people. One of the great accomplishments was ADP, was our ability to attract people who would give their souls to the company to get the job done and make sure that we were always on time, make sure that we were always accurate. I see the energy developed in people who work, particularly young people who work in government, as being more energetic and more committed and getting more satisfaction out of their job than those who make a heck of a lot more in the private sector. There is a degree of satisfaction you get out of life that is such a wonderful feeling. And so I say to you, thank you for the opportunity to chat with you a little bit and to encourage those of you who have any inclination for public service, do it. Because it's the most rewarding experience other than your personal life, family life, and things of that nature. And in addition to doing that, I found time in my lifetime to head one of the largest charities in the world for 3 years, and to be fortunate enough to be able to finance a cancer research center. It's in Israel. A scientist in New Jersey was moving there, asked me for help, and I did. And we've been functioning 40 years doing basic research and making contributions to people's health and well-being as we do it. We don't have products, but we do the basic research that permits the products. to be developed. And so my congratulations to all of you for being here, for your association with Columbia, for the good fortune that we all have to be where we are, and the opportunity that we have to give something back to this great country of ours. Thank you all very, very much for the opportunity to testify.